Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, May 14th. We're here for a work session. Before we begin, if we'd stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Rothwell, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes, Supervisor. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. So we have a few announcements today. We have the Roanoke Elementary Community Day this Saturday at 10 a.m. Our Recreation Department is having their Community Day at Stotsky Park also at 10 a.m., but on Sunday. So the first one's on Saturday, the next one's on Sunday. And I think some of the other council members, do you have any announcements this morning? We also have the Riverhead Volunteer Ambulance Corps. Their open house is Sunday from 11 to 4 to make everyone aware of that. And so I'll just give them a second in case they have an announcement. And we also have the 4th before the 4th coming up on June the 4th in Grangeville Park. Council members, any other announcements to the right?
For me, thanks.
Joanne? No. Okie dokie. So with that said, we'll move into our our work session. Today we have our first item is Joe Petrocelli, Eric Russo, Esquire, matters surrounding the site plan and special permit application for the Peconic River Hotel project in connection with the town square. With Matt Charters, Anne-Marie PRUDENTI, I don't know if she's here in the room with us, and Thomas and SEEMAN, Don Thomas. So if you guys would like to approach and come on up, that would be awesome.
I have a little intro
Sure.
we could do
Absolutely.
just to kind of set the table. For them, they can come in. Yes, come on.
Yeah. I think you guys can do it while she's speaking, so.
Yeah.
all rise, come forward.
Here.
Come
on, have a seat with us.
I promise we're not going to hurt you. It's going to be okay.
I think there's.
You stay by the drawings?
You say it.
Go ahead, Andy. Sit by the drawings.
Good? Yep. So this morning, we're here to talk about the plans for the Peconic Hotel. Pretty exciting day, actually, when I started to think about it, because it's really literally been 8 years in the making. And so just as a backdrop, the Peconic Hotel is one of 6 components of the town square project, which is an urban renewal project. And for those of you who don't remember, the town adopted an urban renewal plan first in 1993, addressing blight, disinvestment, and other conditions that required revitalization. It's a tool that's available to us through New York State Urban Renewal Law, specifically Article 15. It allows us a lot of latitude in providing and attracting revitalization. So the tools include ways to address blight and deterioration, promoting clearance, replanning, reconstruction, redevelopment, and similar, and in particular to foster public-private partnerships to bring these projects and developments to a place that needs revitalization. So New York State, recognizing the need of communities to bring investments to towns, gave us specific tools to do that. In 1993, the town of Riverhead recognized the need for that and implemented that plan. Since then, there's probably no less than 20 additional revitalization plans, all of which were great, all of which involved a lot of public engagement, public meetings, surveys, polls, any variety of meeting types that could happened. We had, just to give you like one example, in 2016 we did a brownfield opportunity area study. That was a very deep study that was probably turned into several hundred pages, but it was many, many public hours of drilling down on something. So ultimately, in 2018, we got a foothold into the plans, and a lot of the polling and the public engagement sort of suggested we should have a connection between Main Street and the riverfront that was always missing. There was no convenient access to the riverfront. And so in 2018, we applied for funding through New York State to build a town square, being a public place for public use and access to remove blighted buildings and to really try to revitalize the town. And so we got $800,000, and since that time, 8 years ago, we've enlisted probably literal thousands of hours advancing the project, acquiring the properties, removing blighted and vacant underutilized buildings, creating a temporary space, advancing public-private partnerships, and designing the details of all of the components and obtaining about $40 million worth of funding towards the project. So just by way of backdrop, and in 2022, we began a public-private partnership with Petrocelli Development, Inc., relating to the creation of a hotel. The hotel was a recommended element for the town square, the private investment that we were looking for. It was recommended in a market study that was done in 2022 in connection with one of our design efforts, and that market study was conducted by an economic development company called HRNA out of, Street Sense was out of New York City. And since then, we've been working with Petrocelli Development and Company, which is a lot of people, engineers, architects, surveyors, flood mitigation specialists, people who help us create sewer and water connections, electric, lighting, everything you could possibly think of that's needed for this project is now done, ready to go. And we're just on the precipice of permitting these projects. And so, so that was what I wanted to back up with and think about, because it took us a very long time to get where we are and a tremendous amount of work. So, now I'm going to turn it over to them to talk about their project.
Good morning. Eric Russo, Van Brunt, Jesuiac and Russo, with offices at 140 Main Street, Sayville. I represent Petrocelli Riverhead Town Square LLC, and they're situated at 100 Colmex Street in Ronkonkoma. Joseph Petrocelli, and John Petrocelli are the managing members of the LLC. I've been representing them for probably 25 years in various projects, whether it was the aquarium, whether it was the Preston House Hotel, and also there are other projects throughout Long Island that I have assisted them with. And we're most proud of going forward with this particular project because we've been working with Dawn Thomas and Anne-Marie Prudenti and Eric Howard trying to move this forward with the selection of Petrocelli Riverhead Town Square LLC and Joe Petrocelli as the master developer, which we finally had a signed agreement as of August 19th, 2025. And we're moving forward from there, and what we have done is filed an application for a site plan for your consideration based on your Riverhead Town Code, and also for a special permit for the hotel, which is what you have before you today. I have with us today our architect, Andrew Jambertone, who is from Elm Street in Huntington. I also have representatives from VHB Engineering, which is Andrew Nee, as well as Christiana Kastelek, who will help us just review some of the points that were raised in the memo that was provided to everybody within the last 24 hours from your planning senior planner, which is Matt Charters, who did an excellent job of writing an 18-page epistle for all of us to read and summarize even further what Dawn has outlined for you. Our hotel project, which we will have Andrew explain to you, and then we'll go through the various points from a site plan and an environmental standpoint. And we'll conclude with Joe explaining to you his desire and passion for trying to move forward with this project here in the town of Riverhead, because this will just continue to make it a place where you can have community, you can have tourism, and you can have vibrant downtown that the residents of the town of Riverhead have been longing for and has been the goal of the town board and your town planners. That being said, I would like to allow Mr. Jambertone to explain to you the hotel component, which is the special permit that will be sought by our applicant.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Andrew Jambertone. My office is at 62 Elm Street in Huntington, New York. I got involved with this project a while ago. It started out as a conceptual design based around the recommendations of Urban Design Associates, which is the town's consultant in dealing with how the town could be developed to advance all the goals the town had for this project. The project was developed after careful consideration from studies with the Army Corps of Engineer, in particular because of its proximity to the river, to make sure that when this project is built, it wouldn't be affected by potential long-term rising of the sea level and that type of thing. And that's all been accounted for in the design of this building. So this building basically consists of a first floor that is the hotel lobby, some retail space, which may include some coffee shops and that type of thing, as well as a 5,000 square foot restaurant at the south end of the building. Above that, there will be 4 additional floors of hotels with a total of 94 hotel rooms. The top floor being primarily 14 suites for the hotel. In keeping with the town's pattern book, the building is designed to accommodate the wedding cake progressive elevation from Main Street to try and maintain the streetscape along Main Street. When we look at the building in front of you, and we're still in the process of tweaking some of the details, but the idea of the front of the building is that it looks like it was there forever. This poorly rendered olive green facade is meant to look like a patinaed metal, which we're working on getting that worked out. But the building, the fenestration is in keeping with the spirit of the existing elements of the buildings on downtown. As you go into the square, all the hotel rooms will face over the downtown area, and the retail shops will feature awnings and decorative elements to enhance the activity within the square. And as I said, at the south end of the building, we have the restaurant. The suites at the top floor all enjoy the benefit of built-in terraces off the suites, and we're going to be incorporating a series of Juliet balconies on the west side of the building as well as the east side of the building to again further enhance the activation from the square. When we look at the building from the backside, we have these 2 tower elements that originally housed 2 elevators, but now it's going to be an elevator and a secondary staircase. You see here on the back of the building a 2-story restaurant that will be overlooking the water. It'll enjoy a cantilevered terrace with some shade screening above it. And again, we've maintained that same type of fenestration as you go across the building. In the distance, you see what is one of the feature elements of the square, which is the Suffolk Theater. So the square is actually centered on the Suffolk Theater to augment its importance to the design and to the community at large. There are a significant amount of recreation areas that are going to be developed with the other partners in the town, and you can see just how important the activation of the plaza will be with the retail space, again, along the western side, and how it all spills down into the riverfront activation and community activity areas.
We'll just also add that we've worked this design through State Historic Preservation. They had a lot to say and were actively engaged in the design.
The other part of this particular application, as the board is probably aware, is that we had to go and work with the town attorney's office and the planning board so that we could make sure that we had lot line modifications and deeded property rights pursuant to the master development agreement for Petrocelli to own and build the hotel on the property. The planning board reviewed the lot line modification agreements and the application that was made on behalf of the town, and it was done by Eric Howard, and it was heard on February the 19th. They approved it at that particular time, allowing it to go forward for a decision, and they made a decision as of March 5th, 2026, so that the lot line modifications and the deeds could be transferred because the land was owned by the town. Also, part of the land that's being discussed is also in the town parking district, so we had to transfer property from the parking district to the town and then arrange for the transfer and sale for what is going to be approximately a half an acre for the hotel to be constructed. And when we go through the site plan, you'll understand which portions of the project and the site plan that is being developed by Petrocelli. Everything that is being shown to you by Andrew for the square is all part of what is going to be designed, and as master developer with a contract from the town, he will be working on putting forward and developing the square as the hotel, or once the hotel is completed, because part of the storage area for the construction in terms of materials and the contractor's employees are being staged on the west side and also the east side of the subject property. So that being said, I would ask that my good friend Andrew Nee from VHB explain to you the site plan elements and our requirements for meeting those sections of the code as it relates to the special permit that we're here to address.
If I can interrupt for a second, Andrew, do you have a copy of the site plan on a board?
I apologize, it's a small version.
Okay, I have a full size.
I believe you do have it. I know I sent it to you in an email.
You can put it on so they can see it.
That would be great.
Give me 1 second.
I was going to print it this morning. I had a quick issue.
So we have this wonderful camera.
I like that. That's very nice.
We also like the fact VHB comes up so large on the plans.
Nice and red seal on the bottom right corner.
Is C2 good for you, Andrew?
That's perfect. Yes.
And Justin, if you could just zoom out to get this whole sheet, that'd be great.
Oh.
Out.
There you go.
Perfect.
Thank you. Good morning, supervisor, members of the town board. My name again is Andrew Nee with VHB Engineering, offices at 100 Motor Parkway in Hauppauge, New York. So as Eric mentioned, we're here for an application for approximately just under half an acre located in the Downtown Center 1 district, the Main Street zoning district. We're seeking to develop the property with a 5-story hotel directly abutting the Riverhead Town Square. The building is going to front on Main Street, which is a DOT road, and the entrance to the building, or the hotel lobby, would be located at the northwest corner of the building. Valet parking would be available for hotel guests at that location and be coordinated with New York State DOT and the DOT improvements for Main Street that are underway. As Andrew kind of alluded to earlier, the western property line fronts the town square and will be activated with those retail and restaurant spaces with entrances available for those commercial opportunities. On the southern property line, underneath that cantilevered balcony or terrace for the restaurant space, we have an entrance to a below-grade parking level. That'll house 9 parking spaces that's intended at this time for hotel staff. And then along the western property line, the eastern property line abutting East End Arts, that's effectively back of house space. We have a 14-foot space between the property line that was subdivided and the face of the building, and that'll serve as utility space, loading, deliveries for the hotel, and commercial uses, but effectively back of house. And it's not intended to be driven by vehicles or anything, but that would be available for refuse pickup as well. So effectively the back of house space for the building. So as Eric mentioned, we are seeking the special permit for the hotel, and as this plan was developed in conformance with the findings of the town's review for environmental review of the creation of the downtown revitalization, we submit that it's in conformance with the criteria for the special use permit. We can go through that in any detail that you may wish, but as Christy from my office will detail in further, we've submitted a consistency analysis that effectively shows how this application is in conformance with the study that was previously undertaken by the town for the environmental review. And
What Andrew's referring to is your section of the town code 301 through 312. And when you read that, that's all your criteria for a special permit, and you have letters A through R. And if you, at your leisure, want to review that section of the code, everything that we're discussing today shows that we either are in compliance or it doesn't apply as it relates to those criteria. So that if the board deems it appropriate to proceed with the special permit, you know there's been compliance with your code review.
correct. So with that, we respectfully request that you would effectively grant our special permit to allow the hotel in conformance with the zoning district.
If you don't have questions on that component, what we'll do is move on to Christiana Kastelek, who's our environmental planner, who can just reiterate and also review with you some of the elements and the status of the CEQA and negative deck that is being proposed on the project in keeping with Mr. Charter's memo of May the 12th.
Does anyone have any questions with the special permit? We're good.
You're on.
All right. Good morning, members of the board. As Eric mentioned, my name is Christiana Kastelak. I'm an environmental planner with VHB, located at 100 Motor Parkway in Hauppauge, New York. VHB was retained to prepare the site plan, but as well as to review the application from a planning and environmental review perspective. Specifically, in accordance with the seeker process conducted by the Town of Riverhead Town Board, VHB has prepared a Part 1 EAF for the proposed project, as well as a consistency analysis of the proposed project's consistency with the Town of Riverhead's EAF narrative and determination of non-significance, the negative declaration, which I'll refer to it as, for the proposed Riverhead downtown revitalization projects, which was briefly introduced at the top of this work session. And that overall, those revitalization projects really make up the Riverhead Town Square, a multi-phase development that includes the proposed hotel as part of the phase 1 of that development. These documents that Eric mentioned I just introduced were dated May 2026 and have been submitted to this board for your review. The town's Part 3 EAF and negative declaration reviewed a number of items identified in the Part 2 EAF as potentially having small environmental impact, though none were identified as having a moderate to large impact on the environment, which resulted then in the negative declaration. Our consistency analysis briefly examines those issues relative to the proposed action. I will not go through every detail of our consistency analysis, but rather just provide some key points and takeaways. But before I do just want to note that, as you've heard already from those that spoke before me, the project no longer includes the condominium units. So just to understand the difference from the town's review for this project, for the site, versus ours, specifically the changes that the proposed project versus the one that was analyzed in the town seeker review, is that there has been an increase in the number of units for the hotel from 76 to 94, and the residential units are no longer proposed. The commercial component analyzed by the town is similar to the current scope under this proposed project. Despite the change in the program, the analysis for the hotel condominium development by the town, and then the conclusions regarding the impact set forth in the EAF would be similar to those from the proposed project, since the number of formally proposed condominium units, 12, was small as compared to the remainder of the project. So overall, the proposed project would be consistent with the goals and objectives as previously mentioned for the downtown, such that the proposed project will first, improve stormwater management by controlling and collecting and piping stormwater runoff generated by the hotel parcel to concrete leaching galleys located off-site within the town square, which I know Eric briefly mentioned. The project will minimize potential flooding impacts by terracing the grades from Main Street south to the Peconic River, and again, collecting that stormwater within the town square. The project is projected to produce significantly less than the 35,000 gallons per day of sanitary water and wastewater, or sanitary wastewater as well as water, as projected in the town's EAF. And the generated wastewater would be collected, conveyed, and treated at the Riverhead sewage treatment plant. The project will improve public access to the downtown area and the Peconic waterfront by activating Main Street at the site frontage and also opening access to the proposed building onto the town square located to its west. The proposed building will offer an active use fronting Main Street with ample street amenities such as planter boxes, benches, trash receptacles, things like that. And additionally, these amenities will also be offered again on the town square property west of the building. The project will enhance walkability and encourage pedestrian traffic by opening up the commercial spaces onto the first floor, as Mr. Jambertone talked to, onto the sidewalks of Main Street, as well as new sidewalks proposed along the west side of the town square. As the proposed project includes the development of a hotel, there will be initial trips into the downtown area to reach the hotel, but it is expected that once parked by the hotel valet service, hotel guests will walk to other downtown facilities and commercial uses rather than driving, so there will not be a need for separate trips within the downtown. The The project will stimulate economic development and enhance economic stability by constructing a name brand, first-class boutique hotel in the heart of the downtown, and incorporating restaurants, a bar, retail establishments will also draw patrons into this area. The project will enhance opportunities for commercial investment by providing separate retail and restaurant space, again, within the first floor of the building. And as you previously heard from the project architect, they have worked closely with the firm that created the downtown pattern book to ensure that the project development meets the design vision for the town and for specifically the Riverhead Town Square. As such, the project would adhere to the architectural standards and downtown pattern book that has been developed, again, for the overall area. In closing, the project introduces a boutique hotel for visitors to downtown Riverhead and would enhance tourism in the downtown area. The proposed project would include 94 hotel rooms and suites that would allow a substantial number of visitors to stay within the heart of the downtown, using it as a base to visit other attractions and facilities within and adjacent to the downtown area. Based on the foregoing, it is respectfully submitted that the proposed project is consistent with the town's Riverhead Downtown Revitalization Project Seeker Assessment and would not adversely affect the environment or the surrounding area. Thank you.
In addition, what I would also like to point out, in the memo that was provided by Matt Charters, which would be something for the board to consider, there is full compliance as it relates to the zoning criteria with the town code. So if you look on page 7 in that diagram, they relate and go through the lot area where it indicates the minimum required is 5,000 and we have 18,480. The lot frontage is 50 feet, we're providing 74. The maximum building coverage is 80%, we have 79%. Maximum impervious surface is 100%, we have 100%. Maximum building height is 60 feet, we have 60 feet. And the floor area ratio is 4.40 or 4.0, and we have 3.77. So in terms of a zoning code compliance as to the structure itself, we are in compliance with the Riverhead Town Zoning Code in terms of trying to seek a issuance of a building permit without having to go to a zoning board of appeals application. And in addition to that, the report that you have looked at has already had plans submitted to it from the sewer district, the fire district, as well as the water district, and I know they're under review because I delivered the plans myself to the respective districts, offices. The fire marshal has reviewed it, and I know that they have met with Petrocelli in order to talk about how to get around the building in the event of fire, which is going to happen down and through the south side as well as to the west side of the proposed hotel. As was pointed out earlier, the east side is for service purposes only, and the fire marshal, as long as they were sufficiently able to get to the building and the fire hydrants up on Main Street, they were satisfied with what was going on there, but we're waiting a final letter of approval, to my knowledge, as it relates to that. We've also, and I know it's under review for the Landmark and Historic Committee to come back with their input, as well as the Architectural Review Committee, which is cited in Matt's memo to all of you for consideration. We have also submitted plans in anticipation and hopeful approval by the town board at the site plan and special permit for foundation permit, because we are very anxious to get started and get a shovel in the ground, which I'm sure you'll hear from Mr. Petrocelli. And I know that they've received 3 sets of foundation plans for review, along with applications, insurance certificates, as well as the bond that's required in order to proceed, should you elect to grant the particular applications before you. The most important thing that you should know, and they're talking about the hotel, it's a Hilton brand. It's Tapestry by Hilton. So you have a high-quality commercial entity that's coming here and wanting to be a part of the downtown community. And Joe can explain that further for you in a few moments. And lastly, I need to be right up front and tell you we are pending and have an application pending with the Riverhead IDA. We haven't heard from them, but it's part of the financial component that the Petrocelli organization is interested in. We filed one. I've spoken and had discussions with Mr. Farley, your board chair, and we're waiting for them to continue their review with Camoin and others to come back and tell us if we qualify, if the project's worthwhile, and what type of municipal benefits the IDA might be eligible to grant to the project here in question. And if I didn't say that, I know I brought it up at prior hearings and discussions before the board, so I just feel impelled to tell you that and bring you a status update.
Be transparent with them.
Yes. That being said, I now would like to turn over the presentation to our applicant, Mr. Joseph Petrocelli, who has several things to share.
Well, you said it all, Erica.
We try.
Thank you all for considering this application. I feel like I've been at this table for a few years now. It's actually been 3 years that we've all been working on this, but I just want to take us back to 1999 when my family originally came to Riverhead to answer an RFP for the economic generator that we needed so bad in Riverhead. We built the aquarium. That did it a lot. I think the first year we brought in 400,000 people came to our town. And the bad part about it is when people came, they looked left, they looked right, and they went home. So the start of it all started there. So we built the hotel, we built the banquet hall, waiting for others like myself to come in town. Actually, didn't happen. So then we went on to build the Preston House Hotel across the street, and we stopped there momentarily. Since then, we've been awarded the master developer, which allowed us to continue as we are today. It's very important that the momentum has to continue. We're at a point right now where if we don't keep going, it's never going to happen. We're never going to turn this town around. So it's important to me and the family that we keep going with this. So once we get it going, I think we're going to finally exceed. This is the year, right? So just to touch on Eric, on the Tapestry brand. The Tapestry brand is kind of a new brand in Hilton, which is very boutique-y. This fits in with the hotels that we have. The Hyatt is more of a middle, soft brand. The Preston is an independent brand that we created due to the history of Henry Preston, our first sheriff in town. We dedicated that building and did that to him, for that family, which they've been here. So we want to continue that kind of history with, you see Sweezy on this building. We'll see how that works out, but it'd be good to continue on that history and keep that some artifacts and different things in that building, which we will do. What else? So I think we covered everything other than just to keep momentum. We need to keep developers here. We need to bring more developers in. I think that's important that we are open to that. This board, I think, is. And thank you for allowing me to keep doing this. And I think it's going to be a great project for the town. It's going to advance people coming. One other note, the one thing we do realize that the attendance for the aquarium is gradually leveled out, probably about 10 years ago. And now it's dropping. So we need another spark in order to get everybody going. So this project to me is key to the momentum of getting it started. We have Heatherwood underway. Our project is going to be a major, to me, importance to start the kickoff of the town square, and we need it. We desperately need it.
The Riverhead Town Board had the vision to look at general municipal law under Section 507 and realized that they needed to create a master developer and someone to ignite what is going on in the downtown. And as a result, with the research and the information that was given, by the town attorney's office and the community development input and the planning input, you're now on the precipice of moving forward with a project that can continue to be the firecracker that lights off everything that you want to do in a downtown area. So we request, when we move forward, because the public hearing is scheduled for June the 10th at 6 o'clock, and to my understanding, it is limited solely to this application and no other town board business at that time, so that the public will know if they're coming, they're there to hear the presentation, which will be amplified from today, and be able to respond and address their concerns or their praise or their negative remarks as to whether or not they're in favor of the application, so that you can have a better understanding of whether or not you want to grant the site plan, whether or not you want to grant the special permit for the hotel as part of all of the efforts you've been working on as a town for the last 8 years. So I thank you for your time. If you have any other questions, we'd be happy to respond.
I just want to say the building looks great.
Thank you.
It really does. It looks great. I guess my question is, and I know I have to have this discussion. First of all, Joe, thank you, because as you said, other developers have had opportunities for downtown and nobody's taken the step, and you did a long time ago. So East End Arts is going to come up this,
I could talk about that a little bit.
Good.
So we've had some meetings, East End Arts. We realized before we can develop that west side, we need the arts component involved just to make sure that it works. We have an access road there now. We need to make sure that it doesn't look like an access road. I need in the Hilton, when you look out there, we need to be part of that whole scene. So we're working on that. We'll get there.
Great, thank you.
That was brought up last week when Wendy's group had come in.
Yes.
And the architects, they had a phenomenal design plan, and everybody, and you initially spoke as well about making that more right,
transition,
giving it some nice landscape.
Yes.
So Joe, I want to thank you for your constant motivation to keep this project going. So we've been discussing this for 5 years, since I've sat in this chair. I want to thank Dawn Thomas and the Community Development Agency, because they've just put countless hours, as well as the planning department and so forth, and the legal department. So there was a level of excitement a few years ago when we took the first buildings down and it was starting, and I think, we were trying to build on momentum, but there was just a lot of T's to cross and dots, I's to dot and so forth. But I think this is a great day to move this along. So there seems to be a quick movement in terms of having East End Arts in here the other day and having yourself. I'd like to just to speak a little bit, as this project here, your particular hotel building is under construction. Will you be developing the town square at the same time? Like, is the goal to finish the town square, so to speak, simultaneously as the ribbon cutting day of the hotel opening, so that we kind of, and Councilman Kern just mentioned, but that's what I wanted to do, was implore you to work with East End Arts so that everything is just kind of, we want it to all really look as like one large-scale downtown project and not piece it together.
Just to answer that. So it's important that the square is completed before the hotel opens. The worst thing you can do is open up a hotel and look out there and see construction. Now, the square has to be complete. That's going to be the attraction that we need, one of the attractions, there'll be many as we continue, but that has to be completed. That has to be completed. The idea is they open the same time. That's the whole.
And I think,
the momentum.
I think the public should be aware with East End Art construction beginning, Heatherwood is down there, the hotel being built, the town square, also how important it is for us to address as soon as possible the vacant bike building on the west side of the town square, so that this becomes an entire, marketable place to bring tourists and dollars, to downtown Riverhead, because the foot traffic alone saves every restaurant and potential retail space down there. So I thank you for pushing forward and staying with Riverhead all these years.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember you stood before Yvette Aguilar and you were like at the Old Town Hall and you said, this is the board that's going to get it done. And I think boards have been grinding for years, and you've done a good job. The flood mitigation is excellent. That's so key to surviving those small businesses downtown and working towards a future not just for 5 years but for 30 years. And this plan is, our sewer district really likes it. It's just really good with the flood mitigation. So being able to protect those buildings at East and Arts for a future beyond all of us. So the flood mitigation is off the chart well. And I think that we've learned from other towns, and people keep asking why Riverhead's taken so long, but we're going to get this right and do it well. So
Takes time to do it right.
yeah.
On that note, Supervisor, restaurants are not doing well on our strip. I know because I have one that I've opened and closed twice. I don't know the answer to that, but bringing more people here, it's got to turn sooner or later. We have to get people up and down the street to go to these restaurants to stay here. No one knows that answer, but I think the answer is just to bring more and more people here. That's what we have to do.
I'd like to touch back on your point. I have a business across the street from the parking area for the aquarium, and I'll sit at my desk and I will see a car parked, a whole family get out of the car, walk down to the aquarium, and an hour and a half, 2 hours later, they're back in their car and they drive away. And to your point, people come out of the aquarium, they look around, there's nothing there. Downtown needs to be activated, and bringing a project like yours into the mix here helps everybody. It gives people foot traffic, somewhere to go. And unless we have something downtown for people to go to, they're going to just go back and get into their car and leave. And that's not helping anybody. So I thank you for investing in downtown and being a part of it. You're not a developer that just came in, built something, and went away. You've been invested, you're here, and I appreciate that, and thank you. And thank you to your team and your team. Everybody together is making a difference that's positive, and we need to focus on the positive. So, thank you.
If I could very briefly just touch on my staff report. Eric, thank you for doing a very good job of making my job easy today. You basically did the whole thing for me. One thing I did want to touch on is consistency with SECRA, which Ms. Castellac spoke to before. I'm going to let Jeff speak to our SECRA process, how we looked at this holistically last year, and how this complies with that process to make sure we're above board in that regard. And then just a couple comments in terms of the site plan, and then on to recommendations. So Jeff, if you want to take it away.
Sure. So a little history on the SECRA review. What we had decided to do with the board as lead agency, since all of the revitalization projects are phased out into 3 phases. Phase 1 includes all of the redevelopment on the south side of East Main Street, which included this project. However, at the time we were reviewing the plans, they were best described as conceptual, and there were various steps involved in where the funding for each of the projects might be, constructability, and how they would all interrelate with each other, with the goal of flood mitigation being the cornerstone of the negative deck for the SECRA review. So our goal was to look at the holistic redevelopment of downtown, and then as site plans came through, take another bite of that apple under SECRA to see if they were consistent with the conditions and mitigations that were outlined in the overall SECRA review. So we're at that stage with this project. Just for a point of clarity on the water and wastewater, at the time the original SECRA was conducted, the acquisition of the property to the west of the town square was just that, a potential acquisition. Not knowing what might or might not be constructed there, I took the water and wastewater calculations from the hotel and duplicated that. So we had 35,000 gallons of water and wastewater, which was really split between the 2 sites. However, the hotel will absorb about 50% of that calculation, which is within the limit that we expected. And After the consistency analysis was completed by VHB and submitted with the site plan, I reviewed their report. I looked back through the history of the work I had previously done, and I'm in agreement that it is consistent with the goals set forth in the prior secret review. So those aspects are fine. I only had a few very insignificant or minor questions regarding the valet parking and the methodology of how to manage the traffic flow as they pull up to the front entrance for both eastbound and westbound traffic, which I'm sure the applicants can review. We do have a streetscape program to calm traffic on Main Street, and maybe a detail of how that's integrated with the front would probably be appreciated by the planners to review, but that's really within their realm. So everything is consistent with the prior secret review, and that there's no further environmental assessment required.
So I hope you all have the opportunity to read my somewhat lengthy report. I think everything was...
The small 18 pages.
But everything looks above board. It's been referred out, as Mr. Russo said. We have gotten some comments back, really for minor changes we've gotten from LVF, just some call-outs that need to be corrected. LVF is our consultant for the town square. As Dawn said, we've been working on the elevations on this with the state, with LRB. It's going to go... LPC, sorry, with ARB. So nothing is happening in a vacuum here. It's a real team effort, and I appreciate Joe and your team, and you've made this very easy for us, and a true and good partnership. We've gotten standards letters back from the Water District and Sewer District about maps and plans that are needed. That's all to be expected, and I think we're ready for the next step in a public hearing. So at the board's direction, we can prepare that resolution as quickly as you would like to have a public hearing.
Tomorrow.
Your date.
Would be good.
The other question that was raised has to do with the parking, and yes, the hotel guests are valeted, but the discussion is that those who don't want a valet, they'll be parking behind the Suffolk Theater according to what the applicant's plan is. So, on First Avenue. And then, of course, there's the anticipation of the town of Riverhead doing a public garage, which is requiring funding and planning further on your part. But it would benefit the hotel complex and the square if that happens, because once all these people get here, they need to go where they're going to park. And the parking along Heidi Bear Way will not be sufficient for the numbers that are coming.
We're hoping you donate to the parking garage before you left.
No. I have my checkbook.
So in the master development, I think that's where we outlined the parking pieces. There'll be an interim, hopefully one day. In the meantime, we'll be parking directly behind the Suffolk Theater. Ultimately, when the parking garage gets built, there'll be interim spots, which Anne Marie outlined pretty well. And look forward to that, those days.
You know, there's another component to this. I see Wendy Weiss in the audience, and she was here last week with such enthusiasm for the East End Arts Council and what's to be with them. And all of this is going to help them as well. You know, it's not just focused on the downtown businesses per se. It's the East End Arts. They're going to thrive from this kind of development. I think it's so wonderful. I see the clear picture of what is coming, and I'm excited about it, and I can't wait for it. So I'm all for it.
Any other questions or comments?
Can you have a vision of the valet parking for the front of the building? So just like, how are cars stopping on Route 25 and how are they maneuvering? So if it's
I was trying to go through and see that.
Can we see how?
So that site plan needs to incorporate the updated streetscape plans that we have, which is that was called out in my staff report. So I think it has the ability to pull off four cars. Yeah, 4 cars with.
Is that enough? Is 4 enough?
But is it curbside
Yeah, so
parking?
it's actually a cut into the curb, so they get off of the street. There's enough. We've been working with LVF and with Joe's team on how to best achieve that, and with the state. with hotels, everyone generally doesn't arrive at one time, especially a hotel with this many rooms. We're not expecting a significant traffic draw. What would be significant trips would be I believe, pursuant to SECRA, is a hotel with 250 rooms. We're well under that size, so generally people are not all coming at one time or
And
leaving.
we're looking at 10-minute, 15-minute
Correct.
signs people will drop and direct them with, it's only 50 feet away, or to make the left turn to get behind the theater.
Correct.
So I think it'll work.
And the streetscapes plan was completed on our side with the grant funding we've gotten, and it's actually, construction drawings are completed and permits have been issued, so that's also ready to go once the funding arrives from the federal government.
The north elevation shows, and I'll let Mr. Jamberton.
So the hotel features a marquee that'll provide protection from the weather as guests are greeted by the valet and moving into the hotel. And you can kind of get a sense here of the cutoff. Main Street is actually here. There's a landscape buffer, and then the curb cuts in, and that's where cars will stack, be greeted by the valet, and then taken to park, and guests will come in under a covered entranceway and enter the hotel on the west side of that corner.
So in reality, really, the parking's already there. We're already using those parking spaces. But it will just be more governed with striping and curbs differently. So the road is not getting wider. It's really just going to...
We move forward with the parking plans, those, it's sort of envisioned at this point and not formalized, but the Main Street pieces will be the shortest term parking, so we turn those over quickly. And there'll be some that allow for, handicap access, of course, to people who have mobility issues and need to go to a restaurant. They won't have to park far away. They'll be able to park at Main Street, but Main Street will be sort of reserved for those turnover spaces so the businesses can get, that activation that they need.
Another note too, we've been working with the fire marshals, and we're all good with that. Access to everywhere around the building.
We really started with the fire access plan. When we started working on the town square, the first thing we did was go to fire marshals and say, how do you see this working? And the fire access plan was created with UDA and VHB, and then they actually used in the model the fire truck that the Riverhead Fire District owns to determine the turning radiuses, the width, and where it would have to go, and that's all laid out. And that's where we started, really. One of the first places we started.
So the number in the front started at about 4 and now has escalated to 8. So I know that.
The latest drawing shows that.
We can marry those two numbers, so it's easily achievable.
I'd like to see that, more of a detailed site drawing of just, where cars are going in and out the traffic. But I'd also like to see it from the rear side of the building, so you have your restaurant in the rear, but where is the ADA parking and so forth for the restaurant, the back of the hotel? How do you envision everybody is getting there? So are they parking Heidi Bear Way, there's kind of limited parking around there, or just?
Have everybody park on the north side, park once and walk throughout downtown. Everything on the square from that planned parking garage is designed to be accessible. So there's, through the town square, and all the town square projects are all accessibility compliant pathways. There are staircases, but if you are mobility challenged, you will have a ramp to use to get all throughout the town square and down to the river.
So the drop off in front will aid to the handicap.
Okay,
That'll
that's
work.
good.
I just have one question. When do you think you'll have it built?
We need a foundation permit and approvals, because as we've been told by the town deputy town attorney, we can't issue you a foundation permit until there's an application for site plan and special permit approved. So we're back to you.
The building's demolished. All our testing is almost complete, and we're ready to go.
I think we need to move this forward and do
So
it.
the town square project is in for, we don't require permits for our own project, but we're looking for permits so we can track grant purposes. And so those are already submitted and ready to go.
And we'll be putting out for bids.
I sent them to you about 2 weeks ago via email.
Oh, okay, that's through. I gotta respond to you for LBF. did a
So
big,
in momentum, speaking again, we need the square to catch up. We need those permits to catch up.
Yeah. Where does that go?
Okay.
Any other questions? Good,
Quick
so,
one in terms of aesthetics, it's a beautiful building, I'm just only asking like the colors of the Suffolk Theater, so like the brickwork color. Is there like any way to, in terms of bringing in the colors of the Suffolk Theater, like to the, like the center brick columns or something to kind of make that it's all kind of its own era?
Part of, I think, UDA's process was that this building reflects more the character and context of the rest of the downtown, leaving the Suffolk Theater to be unique in its importance in the town, and we may actually detract from that. The thought process was.
To that is an Art Deco building, which we don't want to even compete with. We want to keep that jewel.
You want that to be its own identity?
yeah. I mean, the renders, speak to the design. This looks like something that was always there. It really complements the downtown, which it's on the National Register, the whole street wall, all the brick facades, so this really marries into that.
And our intent, Andy, we're trying to make it crispy and cleaner and not look that old. We want it to look new, but we want it to blend.
Great job, looks great.
Love it.
All right, so if we're comfortable moving forward, if the board is comfortable with a June 10th public hearing, this could be the center of the show, which I think it deserves to be. That is a Wednesday, so I would anticipate in your next packet that there'll be a public hearing
good.
resolution if you're
Thank you.
comfortable.
And hopeful that you would do that, I went and picked up town permit signs from the town clerk for the site plan and the special permit.
We'll make that happen for you.
Picked them up this morning in anticipation.
It's building time. I mean, you have to do it.
As Joe said, we're trying to maintain that momentum, and I think we're doing
So
a fairly
because
good job.
I'm in deep already.
Thank you, everybody.
Us
Thank
too.
you. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you for having us today.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you. So as they make their way out, our next thing is our resolutions with our Deputy Supervisor Higgins. She makes her way up.
Justin, do you have this mic on up here?
Oh, Ben.
Barely hear Devin.
Maybe I just need to be louder.
I think it's the noise he's competing with for feedback. Let's give him a second. You're good to go, Justin.
Okay, so we'll get started. Resolution number 1, ambulance district budget adjustment.
One more second. Just a little background noise. Eric, you guys could, I think Justin's having trouble. Thank you. All right.
Okay, resolution number 1, ambulance district budget adjustment to fund RVAC 2026 budget. Resolution number 2, budget adjustment for the removal of weeds, yard waste, litter, garbage, refuse, rubbish upon the premises known as 219 Hubbard Avenue, Riverhead, New York.
Is this the same property that we did this a year ago?
I do believe it is. So it's a budget adjustment because we had originally allocated $15,000 for that, and it came in less, just about half that.
Okay.
Resolution number 3, Tanner Riverhead 202-B Biosolids Project Bond Authorization. Number 4, Sewer District Capital Project number 82210, Budget Adjustment for Biosolids Facility. Number 5, Sewer District Capital Project number 82611, 1575 Old Country Road, Budget Adoption. Number 6, ratifies removal and auction sale of fixed assets. Number 7, authorizes removal of fixed assets. Number 8, authorizes purchase of Massey Ferguson tractor for Highway Department. Number 9, approves the attendance of one police department employee to attend a seminar. Number 10, authorizes personnel employees to attend a seminar. Number 11, appoints seasonal personnel to the Recreation Department. Number 12, ratifies the reappointment of a seasonal pump-out boat operator.
So did we adjust the fees and so forth on this? Right?
On the pump out operator?
On his, $20 an hour. Then what were we paying? And so is there an increase?
Jeanette?
I'm just only saying he absolutely deserves, because he's the only one
For
that's
how many
doing it.
years he's making
So I just
$20
wanna-
an hour?
I mean, it just
So
seems,
maybe he got an increase 2 years ago or a year ago. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he was making $20 for the last couple of years an hour. So, I mean, if you wanted to raise it, we'd have to just work with personnel and.
I think that this person deserves more than $20 an hour.
Okay. I
He's
mean,
been
that's
here for
fine.
how many years?
I can tell personnel just to, you know.
Yeah, if we could have that discussion
what the job
before we
description
approve this.
entails and what the limit would be, that kind of thing. So I'll talk to Ashley about it.
Thank you.
I just think we're going to lose him, and he's the only one, and I think there's even a vacancy in the second position, because nobody wants to do it for $20 an hour. So at a certain point, we have to really take a closer look at that, because if we lose him, we have none.
Okay.
That's a problem. So,
All right. So we'll work with personnel on that. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, resolution number 13, ratifies the appointment of a call-in bus driver to the Recreation Department. Number 14, approves a temporary part-time account clerk. Number 15, appoints a public safety dispatcher to the, public safety dispatchers, plural, to the police department. It's 3. Number 16, appoints a maintenance mechanic 2 to the water district. Number 17, provisionally appoints a youth counselor. Number 18, ratifies the termination of an employee. Number 19, accepts the resignation of a maintenance mechanic 2. Number 20, ratifies and accepts the retirement of a youth counselor. Number 21, reappoints Frank Petrignani to the Recreation Advisory Committee. 22, reappoints George Gabrielson to the Recreation Advisory Committee. 23, reappoints Rose Sanders to the Recreation Advisory Committee. 24, reappoints Monique Parsons to the Recreation Advisory Committee. 25, reappoints Shannon Reitz to the Recreation Advisory Committee. 26, reappoints Marjorie Acevedo to the Recreation Advisory Committee. 27, reappoints Dwayne Elazer to the Recreation Advisory Committee.
Are these all 2-year terms? Like, are we staggering?
They're staggered. They weren't updated for years.
So I think they were holdovers, and I think this goes from March of 25 forward to March of 27. So I think by default, they're holdovers. It's my understanding.
They weren't updated with,
So this is kind of cleaning all of that up just to formalize the term. Number 28, amends Resolution 2026-305, appointing Joe Oliver to the Parking District Advisory Committee. Number 29, extends bid for annual fire and security alarm systems. Number 30, authorizes the town clerk to publish and post a request for qualifications for engineering services for installation of water mains and appurtenances for boundary extensions numbers 95, 96, and 97, Riverhead Water District. Number 31, adopts a local law to amend Chapter 279 of the Riverhead Town Code titled Taxation, Article 8, Exemption for volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance workers. Number 32, adopts a local law to amend Chapter 273 of the Riverhead Town Code titled Solid Waste, Article 5, General Provisions applicable to solid waste for all properties and uses. 33, acceptance of Environmental Protection Fund grant award through New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. Number 34, grants extension of final site plan approval for the site plan application of Zenith Building, 12 McDermott Avenue, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-129-4-5.2.
Could you explain this one to me?
Yeah, so we have Greg here to expand on it further, but this is a one-year extension for this application.
Morning, Greg. All right, so this is a one-year extension. So back in 2023, the town board granted final site plan approval for the Zenith building. At that point, it was a project on 12 McDermott Avenue, the tax map number identified. The applicant has since purchased the adjacent property and they've submitted a new site plan, but this is to basically grant the extension, which is allowable by town code. It's a one-year extension. In theory, if that second phase of the project doesn't fall through, this is just getting them that one-year extension for the original phase. So that could, in theory, still be built without that further addition. But this is just a one-year extension that's allowed by the town code. Planning board and town board has always granted an extension whenever the applicant has requested it.
Do we require a fee on those extensions, Greg?
No, I just said the resolution includes a letter that was submitted by the architect.
Just a little difference, I'm sorry, because with Councilwoman, what is the difference between just getting this extension or renewing a building permit application?
So there is no building permit. This is just the way the town code's written. It just says the town board may grant a one-year extension upon submission of a letter requesting such, as long as it's made 30 days prior.
Have a building permit?
They do not have a building permit yet. The letter detailed, they're requesting herewith the extension, the 12-month extension of Town Board Resolution 23-546, which expires on July 18th. As you're aware, we're currently in the process of gaining approval to expand the development on the site adjacent to the corner. Upon approval of the additional site, which we expect to secure soon, it's our intent to submit one set of building permit drawings for the combined sites. Therefore, the extension is required for us to coordinate and submit one final building permit drawing. So that's the purpose for the extension, just to get them to the point where they can cross the finish line on the.
Get it done.
Correct. All right. Thank you.
Resolution 35 authorizes designated alcohol service vendors to serve alcohol at the Fourth Before the Fourth Festival. Number 36, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Racetrack Not Street, EPCAL Motorsports Park 2027 Summer Classic. 37, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Racetrack Not Street, EPCAL Motorsports Park 2027 Championship Series. 38, approve special event Chapter 255 application for the Riverhead Museum, for the Railroad Museum of Long Island, Riverhead Railroad Festival 2026. 39, approve special event Chapter 255 application for AAECF Inc., the AAECF Concert Series celebrating 250 years, many nations within one. Number 40, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Railroad Museum Memorial and Historical Marker. Number 41, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Little Flower Children and Family Services in New York, Little Flowers Summer Festival. 42, approve special event Chapter 255 application for Jamesport Firemen's Association Annual Carnival Bazaar. Number 43, authorizes co-sponsorship of Duck Pond Day on Sunday, June 14th, 2026, rain date June 21, 2026, with the Duck Pond Society. Number 44, authorizes designated alcohol service vendors to serve alcohol at the Community Mosaic Street Painting Festival 2026. Number 45, authorizes designated alcohol service vendors to serve alcohol at the 2026 Duck Pond Day Street Festival. Number 46, authorizes the Chief of Police to execute a student intern agreement. Number 47, authorize the supervisor to execute a professional services agreement with Main Street Agency for a Live on 25-2026. Number 48, authorize the supervisor to sign authorization agreement with Long Island Power Authority LIPA for 2025-2026 pilots. Number 49, authorizes the supervisor to execute a letter of intent with the YMCA for the redevelopment of 1405 Old Country Road, Riverhead, New York, known as the former New York State Armory.
Just check with our financial administrator, do we have the resolution for the bond or BAM for Arbeck? Is that going to be added to the packet? I know they're actively working on it, so I just want to keep proceeding. We're ready to get shovels in the ground for Arbeck.
Yeah, so I'm just waiting for the draft resolution from bond counsel. There were a couple of things that were not done yet on it. He needs an engineer's report to draft the details of the specs of the building to a certain extent. So we're working with town attorney's office to try to get that expedited and get that over to him. And then at some point, SECRA has to be done, so the planning department has been involved in that. But he has the draft ready to go, so I should be getting it hopefully sometime today in the meantime to take a look at it. But he really needs the engineer's report, I guess in time for the public hearing, and SECRA in time for the public hearing. So I'm going to send an email out to resolutions to push this through for this coming meeting, so at least we can move forward and take care of the date for the public hearing in the meantime. So
thanks to you and Anne Marie and working with us to keep Arbeck moving on course. So it's great. We're ready to go out, just about there, ready to go out to bond and get shovels in the ground and begin building. So there's a lot of excitement there. We're making incredible progress. So thank you for your due diligence.
it's coming.
Sorry for me to ask. I'm just very anxious.
No, it's fine. Yeah, no, we're crunching and getting it done. So hopefully I'll have a version of it today. So and then I'll send it out to everybody for review.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeanette. I think that's our last resolution.
Yeah, so we had the one on the armory, and then you have the PACE bills. That's it.
Explain pays bills.
So as we, in just a second, I'll ask for a motion to go into executive session to adjourn our open session. An executive today, we have legal matters surrounding possible sale of real property with Thomas, contractual matters surrounding contractual agreement between the town of Riverhead and Kevin Wood and parking consultant with Don Thomas, matters surrounding possible contractual changes with employee with Councilor Howard, and matters surrounding contractual agreement between the town of Riverhead and Main Street Agency with Councilor Howard. I have a motion to go into exec and adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
See you next week.